Hello and welcome to PM Express here on the Joy News channel. Now today, it's about 2 days more for the organized labor's declaration of a strike action to get into force. Now, the government has been busy the whole of the day to try to avert this particular strike action that would grind the nation to a halt, because organized labor say they are determined to carry this through. Now, you know that the issue about Galamsey has been on the table for quite some time. They've been talking about it and calling government to act. Government did not live up to their expectation, and that led to organized labor declaring a strike action beginning 10th October 2024. Now, a few days left for that to kick in. Government today has been busy trying to avert that particular strike. And so it put together its ministers for defense, minister for national security, land and natural resources, the environment minister, to try to find out what can we do in terms of strategy to get, us to respond to what the organized labor is calling for. In fact, government has responded to some of the things that they intend to do. And only today, we're being told by the Land and Natural Resources Minister that government intends to deploy the river guards onto the river bodies and water bodies to try and check the mining ongoing on those bodies. Again, we're being told that they want to now deploy the military to go into these Galamsey sites to check that, in fact, Galamsey has been brought to a halt. But let's come down to all of these, issue between labor and government over, the Galamsey menace. And we're saying that organized labor's war with government over Galamsey. Is there a case for a strike? And we'll get to know today. But as I told you earlier, we only have 2 days more to this. But what has been the case of organized labor? Organized labor has been persistent on this score, and they are saying that their strike remains unchanged. And quote, we are of the view that what the government has proposed does not adequately address our demands. And that's the General Secretary of Organized Labor there. Let's try and bring in, a lot more. Let's check with their demand and what government has done so far. Now, Organized Labor said, we want government to declare a state of emergency. Now, the government says, and government is silent on that one. We've not heard exactly what government intends to do. They also said, we want the revocation of LI 2462. Government says, I'm giving you the assurance that when Parliament reconvenes, we will lead the revocation of this LI. They want a ban on all forms of mining in water bodies and forest reserves. Government says, well, that is already done, because government declared that those areas as red zones, and therefore that one has been taken care of. They said, we want you to deploy police and military. Government says, in fact, we're doing that. And today we're told that they want to now even deploy the river guards in addition to the military to help deal with that. And then they want the government should establish special court for Galamsey cases. That, of course, we're being told that, it is being done, or already has been done. Now, let's look at the call for the strike and the fact that today we are hearing the Ghana Medical Association say they will not be able to take part of it because their council did not vote in favor of this. Now, what is the size of organized labor? Organized labor is comprised of at least 72 affiliated unions and more. That's what we say, at least. So just imagine the size. And again, if we talk about the size of public sector workers involved in this, 700,000, about 700,000 people are involved. So if all of these people will be on strike, imagine what can happen. Let's look at the impact. So the sectors and what we're looking at. In education, how many unions are there? We are anticipating that about 12 unions are part of people who are part of the organized labor who fall under the education sector. Under health, we have 3, but we know that the GMA says they cannot participate. Under transport, we have 5 unions who are ready to participate in this strike. Under governance, we have 2, sanitation 2, and when it comes to communication, 2 unions. So that is the impact that we anticipate we could draw when this strike kicks in on Thursday. But tonight, government has declared the things that they're doing to fight it. Organized labor says this does not cut it. But will organized labor budge after hearing that the government has put together ministers to draw up a strategy to then see how they can finalize all the deployment of the military and river guards? Stay with us because we'll get answers on the show. Labor will be speaking and government will also be speaking. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace, and it's always an honor to come your way with the PM Express. Stay. All right, so welcome back to the show. Let me remind you that PM Express is brought to you by Syntex Tanks. Now, Ghana, get ready for the biggest giveaway from Syntex Tank. Syntex is visiting 15 communities, giving them free water. This is to say thank you, Ghana, for making us the #1. Syntex was the first to introduce double-layer tanks in Ghana. Do you also know that Syntex tanks come in so many colors and was first to come out with inner white layer? So when it's not Syntex, forget about it. Now, if you are a community and you want to benefit from the Syntex free water giveaway, just log on to social media handles at Syntex Ghana and nominate your community. The more you nominate, the better chances of we coming. Remember, it's Syntex tank. No be any tank, be tank. The correct tank be Syntex tank. Syntex tank, strong, tough. Now, the Academic Times Ghana is an incoming graphic and online publication aiming to collaborate with university authorities and students to ensure that student research is published in some form. Now, so take advantage of that one and be part of the MGL radio platforms. Back on tuning, your favorite radio stations are back on tuning. Joy FM, Love FM, Adom FM, Asempa, and Insure FM are all your beloved media group, multimedia group brands, and are back on tuning. So tune in to the best of news, music, sports, and entertainment from Ghana's top stations. Welcome again. Let me now introduce my guest to you. In studio, I have Dr. Palgrave Boakye Dankwa. He's government spokesperson on governance and security. He'll be joining me in studio for us to do this discussion. On Zoom, I have Dr. Kenneth Asibe. He's convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Doc is also there. Doc, thank you for joining us. Angel Carbon is president, NAGRAT, the National Graduate Association of Teachers. He's also joining us via Zoom. We're also joined by Dr. Samson Anoma, senior lecturer, Kumasi Technical University Department of Accountancy. He's a member of the concerned members of Organised Labour. Well, let me start with Palgrave. Palgrave, we understand that today there was a meeting between ministers responsible for defense, security, environment, land and natural resources to try to finalize strategies to deploy the military and the river guards. What was the outcome?
Kojo, let me greet you and let me greet your viewing public and to confirm that indeed there was a meeting. It's not in my place to put out what the strategies are at this moment because I haven't received full briefing to be able to do that. But one of the things that I can tell Organized Labour, who has a few more days to respond to their strike, either to go or not to go, is that the meeting with President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo was very clear and very succinct that this fight against illegal mining has been President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo's fight since 2017. As a government, we are very glad that Organized Labour has joined President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo's fight. We wouldn't say it's too late in the day that they have joined the fight, but we welcome them to be a part of the collective responsibility of government fighting against illegal mining. There are issues that they brought before government was a call for a state of emergency, a revocation of LI 2462, an establishment of smaller courts, and President Nana Addo Akufo-Addo's response, as it was a dialogue and an agreement and a conversation that was had last week Thursday, was that LI 2462 would be placed before Parliament again for Parliament to look at its revocation because it came through Parliament as the people's representative. The President reiterated that water bodies and forest zones are red zones where people are not supposed to mine along water bodies. And the President instructed that persons that are legally mandated in terms of law enforcement agencies should immediately bring perpetrators to book. The president also stated
the
Attorney General
they have listened to all of these, and they are saying that it doesn't cut it for us. We want a state of emergency to be declared. They want to see action. In their words, they want to see action. And today we're being told that because government wants to give that action, ministers met on this. And I'm asking, don't tell us a strategy, but what was the conclusion, or what were the, what could put organized labor to say that government is indeed acting and not just words? Because they've heard what you're saying, and they're saying it's not enough.
Yeah, but Kojo, one of the things that I cannot do is to go ahead of my supervisors and superiors, which is why I'm stating that organized labor has about 48 hours to either go on their strike or not to go on their strike. I'm aware that the various local unions are supposed to either be voting for a yes or no, and I'm also aware that there are some petitions that have come against some leaders within the organized labor front in terms of some removals and all of that. I mean, my real concern is that our government wants to prevent organized labor from going on the strike. And so government is doing everything that we can within the period that we have to be able to address the needs that organized labor has brought before us. But
what are you doing?
No, that is why I'm saying that the ministerial meeting that was held today is not in my place now to declare the outcome of that meeting. I'm sure that by close of day tomorrow or the very early hours of Thursday, we would be able to have clarity in terms of what the position is and what the response is. But I mean, organized labor should be very much aware that government is very clear in wanting to meet the needs that they have brought before government, but also for them to be able to soften their stance as well, because it's a collective fight that must be fought both with government and both with organized labor, because organized labor is a very organized front that if they join President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo's quest to fight illegal mining, would be able to achieve it a lot.
Paul Griff, does government see that we are in dire times? I mean, times that require swiftness. Is that how you acknowledge the situation?
Absolutely. I mean, government,
so if
government does see that we are in very dire situation.
Okay.
Government does see that this is a crisis, which is why ministers met today.
So if that is the case,
government does not see that there's no way ministers would have been meeting today, for which reason in the next few hours, a day or more, would be able to have clarity to be able to put out what the strategies and what the measures are. And I'm hoping that when we do that, organized labor would be softened enough to be able to state that, having heard from government decisively around this time, we are calling off the strike. And so then we can be able to know that the motive and intent for which organized labor wants to go on this nationwide strike is for the collective interest of the Ghanaian people.
Well, okay. Let me ask labor whether they see that you are behaving as though you do recognize the time we are in. Let me bring in Dr. Ken Ashibe. Doc, having listened today, I mean, you heard that ministers have met and they were devising strategies to deploy the military and the river guards, but that's all we know. Do you feel that indeed government is answering to this call as though they appreciate the times we're in?
Thank you very much. Joe, and you see, it is instructive that currently all we have is the Minister for Information's release that she gave. The interesting thing is that if you go into that statement, after organized labor and the media coalition and various bodies have issued statements, and organized labor was sometime in September, it's instructive to find out that if you look at 2A and 2B, it all talks about government will. So A was the will. The one about the revocation is also will take steps, and you would, again, that's why I like the question you asked about, do we appreciate the fact that we are in crisis? During the COVID, His Excellency the President, demonstrated so much leadership when it came to dealing with the COVID issue. We did not have all of these conversations, and the President did the lockdown, and the President kept briefing us on a constant basis. As of now, the only place we've had the President speak is on a foreign media, on France 24. We've not had the President speak on this issue. Even after the meeting, it was still the Minister for Information. that was speaking to us. All of them have delegated powers. But when it comes to a crisis, you would hope that, we'll get something definitive. But I am happy that the president is calling these meetings to be able, because you see, we also want to ensure that this industrial strike does not happen. Because the only reason it's happening is that it's akin to you having your daughter or your son, who has a major hemorrhage happening. It's painful to take your children through a surgery. But if you don't do that, the fact that as a people we are being poisoned, the fact that as a people renal diseases are on the rise, the fact that as a people there's a lot of spontaneous abortions. Do you know that the baby, that fame, I'm sure you might have seen that picture of the baby that has 4 limbs. When the bone marrow was taken and analyzed, the level of heavy metals that are in it. So you see, what we're talking about, it's about life and death. So because it's life and death, you will be hoping that the actions that we'll take would be commensurate with that. So I am happy that the president is making some move, so that maybe by tomorrow we would be hearing something, so that it would then de-escalate all the things that we have to do. But if you look again, so government will ramp up. What is ramp up? What does ramp up means? Water bodies remain red zones. The water bodies have remained red zones, but we got stability at 14,000 NTUs in the sexual human treatment plant instead of 5. In August 2024, Attorney General will collaborate. So we need, and the fact that our call for the state of emergency again, and it should be very clearly noted, is on the water bodies, the buffers of the water bodies, and in the forest reserves. That's where we're calling. And you see, if you go to Article 31, it talks about the fact that the state of emergency can be declared in part. It does not need to be declared on the whole nation. So, because what you want to do is that give government the power to be able to do all that is required. Bear in mind, we've had ministers, it was on the same platform that the minister for the Eastern Regional Minister told us that there were a lot of foreigners involved in that. And so when you have foreigners attacking you from within, the people who have to defend you against foreigners are the military. And so you want to be able to marshal all the forces to make sure you deal with this. The forest reserves that we have been told that are red zones. If you go to Bekwai, for example, the Supima forest reserve, there are people still there as we speak. The Krokrosua forest reserve is also under attack. The Subim River Forest Reserve recently was under attack. The Forest Commission had to go there. You know that Apraprama Forest Reserve, a heritage imperial, who had prospecting licenses, had about 35 excavators in that place mining. You know that Akunta mines, in the Tanonimre Forest Reserve, were in there mining. And all of these places, all these forest reserves that we're talking about 37 of them, though we are told that they are supposed to be red zones, you have people mining in them. And the sad part is that 2 weeks ago, I went to Inkopo, after the time that we have been told that the regional ministers have been put in charge. Driving on my road, after the Indian Bridge, you could see people doing, Galamsey on the sides of the road. As we speak, the information we are getting from our journalists in the field, that there are places that when you stand on the bridges, you still see these Galamseyers with champans in
the river bodies.
So it is important that, we do something differently. And again, we've been in this fight since 2017. Some of us have kept the faith with the president ever since then. And we know that, these methods that we have used have not yielded the results. Okay. So that's why at this particular stage, we're pleading with the government, the president, that we need to do something different that makes sure that we arrest, what the challenge that we're facing now. So then we can then regroup and find ways in which we ensure that we can do some sustainable mining. Okay. What you're seeing on your screens, that's not what we are called to do. And within a generation, this is where we brought ourselves.
Well, let me bring in Angel Carbono now. Angel, today I'm sure you heard the Lands Minister talking about the actions they've taken so far. The fact that they've decided to now deploy the military and the river guards onto the river bodies and into forest reserves to help fight this illegal mining. Does it cut it for you as organized labor? Does it really get you to think about whether or not to give the government a chance?
Well, let me start by saying good evening to your viewers and listeners, and let me also correct that my senior brother Ken is not a comrade. He is not a labor. So you refer to him as a member of organized labor.
Sure.
I am not.
He's not. That's true. Yeah.
Yes. That's just on the lighter side.
Sure.
Let me say that in all things that you do in governance, one very vital thing you should take into consideration is the mood of the nation. The question you should ask yourself, what is the mood of the nation? I predicted yesterday on Joy that anybody in labor who dissents from this organized labor action could be facing implosion within their unions. And from where I sit, it has started happening. You have to gauge the mood of the nation, the revulsion with which people react when they see the color of our waters, when they see those babies on the verge of death, when they see their their unlettered parents drink contaminated water without appreciating the magnitude of dangers that is associated with it. People wonder, what type of country do we find ourselves? We've come to a head, and this is not the time for us to be issuing words that are like deodorized expression of issues that we already know. This is the time the people of this country want to see those at the helm of affairs show leadership. Look, there are times that leaders will have to sacrifice even their parochial interest for the interest of the generality. Assuming we have been attacked by insurgents, people's rights will be curtailed. There will be conscription of youthful people into the Ghana Armed Forces. And you cannot say you will not because you have been called to defend your nation. Ghana is not an isolated country. We want to see decisions made of sterner staff. Decisions that give me confidence that government wants to drive itself to solve this problem, regardless of the consequences. After all, what is man? What are we looking for on this earth? Is it the first time people have entered power and have left power? Is that more important? And what does it benefit you if you become a member of parliament and your people begin to record death on a daily basis just because you fail to take action? And you see, it pains me. It pains me. Maybe the generation of people leading us are not supposed to lead us. I'm talking about the generation, and this may cut across all the political parties. Ukraine was about to hold an election when they were attacked by Russia. That election has been put on hold, and the people are defending their country. As we speak, there is war in the Middle East. You think people's rights have not been curtailed? But they are fighting for what they believe belongs to them. So we want to see people take decisions regardless of whose ox is God. And we are not getting that cutting edge. We think that we have people who are pacifying the wrong people. They are pacifying those who are engaged in illegality. Look, the fact that you have acquired license doesn't mean that you are doing the right thing.
But Mr. Garbono, you called for the deployment of the military. The government says we will do that. Plus, add the river guard to it. Is this not a step that should give you hope that indeed government intends to do something?
Just before I came onto your platform, I just received a summon by leadership that another emergency meeting is being reconvened tomorrow at 2 p.m. And I'm sure that this is a follow-up of the meeting that was attended today at 4 p.m. at the behest of government. Our leaders were at that meeting. Maybe, just maybe, the outcome of the meeting may be satisfactory. And that is what we are going to discuss tomorrow. The content of that outcome will determine the way forward.
Okay.
I'm not privy to the content. I'm not privy to the details, so I'm unable to comment on it. But just maybe, you may be either you are a spiritualist or you gotten the information from somewhere. I don't have it, so I'm unable to talk to that.
Okay. All right. Let me come in studio and bring you Parvig again. Parvig, so we've listened to, Angel Carbon, who's a member of Labour. He doesn't seem to be enthused about what government is doing so far. But he also mentioned that there is a meeting that they have to attend tomorrow, and that leadership of Labour attended a certain meeting with government today. Do you have details? Do we know what exactly is happening?
So you see, Kojo, what's happening really now is that there's a lot of backdoor conversation with organized labor to meet them a bit more halfway. We are not too there yet in terms of putting it out for the Ghanaian people to know, but very clearly anyone that is observing and watching can see that government is working. I would want to reassure Labour that they should soften a bit more of their stance, especially as they are invited to a meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm very sure that the outcome of the meeting will be very good.
Okay.
Like I stated, I'm aware that the various local unions are beginning to vote. So the various unions that make up the organized labor are beginning to vote. I'm also aware that there are some issues that some of the leaders are beginning to confront. Like I said, some are going through a lot of injunction processes and removal processes. Like that. But I am extremely confident that Labour, being a part of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo's fight against illegal mining, they will not go on the strike because government would ensure that the issues that they have brought beforehand, they would be able to see a lot more action within the next 24 to 48 hours.
Okay, grateful to you. Let me bring in Dr. Samson Anoma, a senior lecturer at the Kumasi Technical University Department of Accountancy, and he's member of the concerned members of organized labor. Now, they showed clearly that they do not support the idea to go on strike. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining. Government says they are acting. You are also at loggerheads with your leadership over their decision to declare strike. We hear they are going to meet tomorrow. What do you know about this meeting so far?
Thank you very much. Actually, I don't really know about what they are doing, and this is our problem, that they started this issue, they didn't inform us, and they asked us to go on strike. This is what we kicked against. And that I'm very happy that today I've heard from your platform that they are having a talk with the government. And so I will tone down today, I will tone down a little bit, and then wait for what will happen tomorrow. Because, in fact, if they proceed with this strike action, we, the concerned members, we will take legal action against them. We have planned our legal action already. So we will not sit down for them to take us for a ride. They are taking for us for a ride and doing policies with this Galamsey issue. This Galamsey issue should not be done, should not be meddled with politics. This is we have a situation on our hand. We have an election just about 60 days away. All this problem happened about 10 years or more. And then organized labor has said nothing. They have not proposed any solution. Now you have brought, you are making demands on the government to fix this within just about 60 days. This is unreasonable, and we believe that it is backed by some political motive. Because if you see, I'm sorry to say, if you see a sound person behaving like a mad person, then there is a reason behind that. And that is what we are against. So we are warning them that whether they agree with the government or not, if they continue with this kind of unlawful strike, we will go to court against them, and then we will see what the law will say about what they are doing.
But have they infringed your constitution such that you can take them to court?
Even the mandate, the core mandate of organized labor is not what they are doing. This is a national issue. This is a national interest issue. So if they have every right to express their views, but they don't have that right to take the union to strike for a national issue that should be solved by a national, collaborative national discussion. So we think that this is unlawful. They are taking the law into their own hands. They are acting beyond their powers. So we will go to court and test the law.
But labor in time past, have been able to fight causes like this to help the national development. Why do you think it's different now and that they cannot take those decisions? Yeah,
it's different now because we are having a situation. I mean, the circumstances we are in now doesn't call for that. And then the immediate demand for a solution of a long-standing problem now is so political. And so we think that, in fact, organized labor should not go into politics. We should do it with circumspect. This situation is a situation that is so dire, and that we should all collaborate, bring solutions to support the government. We don't have to fight the government to go and fight Galamsey within an unreasonable time. This is what we are saying. We are not against the fight against Galamsey. We are all happy that we are fighting against Galamsey. But if you call for a national emergency, a state of emergency, and you call for, say, shoot to kill, and then we have about 60 days to election, and you want the president to declare a state of emergency, take soldiers to the field and shoot people to kill them at this stage, then you are motivated by something that you want the government to commit blunders so that somebody can take advantage of it. And this is what we are thinking that they are doing, and that they should desist from that. It's not fair.
Well, Dr. Anuma, but if you hear that people are giving birth to deformed babies, aren't you worried? And if you are worried, and the times that we are in, doesn't it call for drastic measures like your leadership is calling for?
Yes, of course. We need to take drastic measures. But these drastic measures should have been taken, let's say, even if we were sleeping. We could have woken up around 2 years back. I don't understand why 2 months to election, that is when you have to take drastic election. That is what we can't weave our heads around this. At this particular time, and you have given the government the pressure to solve Galamsey long-standing problem. You see, these baby issues and those things, when we were kids, they even told us we shouldn't eat oranges from Boise because the mining has destroyed the oranges. We had heard all this long time ago. We know that Galamsey is destroying our lands, our water bodies, but then, I mean, the time that you want to do that, knowing well that some people have just demonstrated and caused a whole lot of problems. So if you want to create a platform for some people who want to create chaos to stand on, to create chaos in this country, I don't think it is good. That is what we are fighting against, and we think that we can take that to court to stop them from doing that, so that when we finish this election, we can all sit down and then proceed with the party that wins to fight the Galamsey. Because we haven't seen any solution proffered by organized labor since Galamsey issue started. They have not brought any policy that this is what the government you should do to solve this problem. So if the government declares a state of emergency, what is the government going to do after?
Okay.
There's no clear policy that organized labor is saying that use that to fight Galamsey.
Dr.
So
Sampson.
That means that they are just making noise That is not quite reasonable.
Okay.
So I think that they should stop this. Otherwise, we will go to court for the sake of the country, for the sake of the innocent people who will suffer as a result of this unreasonable strike action. Then we will go to court.
Dr. Anoma, I'm grateful to you. Stay with me. I will take a quick break here. We'll be back to look at, what is next? What should really be happening, after today? We're told that organized labor is likely to meet tomorrow. What should be the expectation? Stay with us here on PM Express. Welcome back to PM Express. Let me bring in Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, who is convener for Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Doc, so where we are, how should both parties, labor, yourself on one angle, and government, how should both parties be approaching each other for us to reach, a solution that benefits all parties?
I would want to answer your question, but with all humility, very, great humility and pardon. And this is somebody who has a doctorate, Dr. Anoma. And, he tells us that when it comes to people dying, when it comes to the very survival of our country, when it comes to the ecocide that is being perpetuated against all of us, that when it comes to a situation where you have over 53 bodies, including the Academy of Arts and Sciences, including the religious bodies, the chief imam, and all of that, it is some political party telling us what to do? Please, it is important that people like him take this issue a bit more seriously. There's a young man who finished KNUST, waiting to come and defend his thesis. He went home and went to one of these pits and died. If it was his son, would he be sitting here and telling us that? So the situation we are in, so what unions would only deal with situation when it's a selfish interest? What is more important than your very survival? That even when it came to the issue of, the SNPs, the pensions, we decide to come together. But when it comes to our whole nation, I'm telling him, I would meet him in court. We would join that case and we would meet him in the court. But posterity would judge all of us. Fortunately, the internet does not forget. So posterity would judge us. But again, I think that it is important for all of us. And if you look at the points that have been made by Labour, who are part of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, our thoughts coincide. And again, so we are not asking for the president to solve Galamsey, immediately. What we are asking for is that we're asking for actions that will tell you that something is happening. If you look into the statement that was issued, there are no timelines in them. You don't know when things are going to start. We'll talk about the issues of Parliament. Parliament, for example, Parliament in its new standing orders are able to sit virtually. And so when you are in a crisis, you would hope that all of these, there will be some milestones that would be given. So our hope is that as Angel has told us that there's a meeting being planned, at least in that meeting, we would be hearing of specific things that are being done that shows that, we are going to start dealing with it. And again, it's very important to note that organized labor, the Ghana Coalition, all of us, we realize the fact that this issue is going to take a time to travel. It is the reason why you find out that the fifth point made by the Media Coalition in our demands to government, and then also that's an addendum that has been added by Labour, is to get the political parties to sign a pact. And the reason is that you want the government who is currently sitting, the president who is sitting, to take an action. Take an action that would deal with the situation. Then you would ask the political parties to also sign up that they support and openly, because we don't want any two-face where political parties will come and say in town that stop Galamsey and then they'll go and sit somewhere and say no. Then also you need them to sign on that they agree today. But again, on the 7th of January 2025, one of them is going to be president. So you want to make sure that they will continue with whatever actions that we have asked to be taken. So we are, as organized labor, as a Ghana Coalition, we know that we have to rally behind this as country. So please, nobody should insult our intelligence about we needing any politicians to tell us that we are dying.
All right, grateful to you. Let me bring in Angel Carbon here. Angel, so any expectation of what should happen tomorrow in this meeting?
Kojo, did the man there refer to the leadership of organized labor as mad?
Which one?
You mean
Dr. So and so? Did he refer to the leadership as mad?
If he said it, then I didn't hear it. Forgive me.
You see, when you have such pernicious audio vermins parading as intellectuals, this is the type of nonsense you hear in your ears. And let me tell him.
But did he really say that? I didn't hear it. So.
Oh, he did. He did.
Okay.
He said it.
Do that.
Look,
Yes,
if it is for him alone, we will take an intransigent position and he should go to court. The only labor organization recognized in law in this country is organized labor. And the action that we are taking is an act in civil disobedience to ensure the interest of our people. He should not come here and open his mouth and talk nonsense. He doesn't represent anybody. This nonsense must stop.
Anyway, but Angel, so any expectation of what should happen tomorrow in this meeting of yours?
Well, like I said, contrary to the views of that gentleman there who is engaged in sophistry, we are going by the outcome of the meeting today. And if the outcome satisfies our demands, we will react to it appropriately.
Okay.
We will not lower ourselves to be doing partisan politics like certain people we expect to know better are doing.
Okay, grateful to you. To you, Paul Grave. So, I mean, we know that this meeting is going to come off, and we know that there's a decision to deploy the military and the river guards. Will that happen tomorrow? Will that happen on Thursday or Friday?
You know, Coach, I'm glad that Angel Kabonu and Kenneth are excited with some of the steps that government is taking.
They are not excited.
Well, I see some level of promise.
Okay.
In the conversation, and I'm also delighted to see that Angel Kabonu will be in the meeting tomorrow. One of the things that I can say is that after tomorrow's meeting, we would want to see a lot more softened stance from organized labor. Like I stated, I am aware that there are a lot of conversations that are ongoing at the background with the leaders of organized labor, the frontiers of them, for them to be able to see what actions that government is taking. I'm also aware that there are voting that is ongoing at the various unions. You know, I'm a unionist. I just had an opportunity to vote online for either for the strike to go on or not, and I definitely voted a no. Okay. That the strike should not go on.
Of course, you are a government person, so obviously.
But then I'm also a unionist, so I can.
But you voted no.
To exercise my democratic franchise. I hope that Angel Kabonu and the rest of my senior unionists would be able to soften their stance and help all of us, because, like I said, this
depends on what fight. Your government tells them.
Which is why I'm saying this is a collective fight of government. I'm glad that organized labor has joined the fight of President Nana Dankwa from 2017. So we'll look forward to tomorrow's meeting. I look forward to seeing the Honorable Angel Kabonu. Okay. You know, I was stating that he's been president for the longest for Nagrat.
All right. I am grateful to you. Dr. Samson Anoma, so once Labour goes into this particular meeting tomorrow, you have any expectation of what the outcome should be?
Yeah, I'm expecting that a better, all that we are looking for is that the strike is called off and a better solution is found for this Galamsey issue. I have not insulted anybody. I haven't called anybody mad. And those people who are spinning what I am saying in another direction, I don't think they are doing fair. They are doing something fair to me. They are attacking me physically. They are attacking me, but they don't know me. So I'm so sorry they have insulted me, but I have forgiven them. We are building a nation.
All right.
I'm saying that what we had and we were not happy is that they asked us to go on strike. They
without consulting you. Okay.
And then we asked them to suspend the strike.
Doctor,
so
and I'm sure
we get solution.
I'm
so
sure
if
that
the solution is coming, I think we all wait for that kind of solution or the outcome of the meeting.
Okay, I'm grateful to you. Angel Carbone is president of NAGRAT. Dr. Kenneth Ashibe is convener, the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey. Dr. Samson Anoma, a senior lecturer, Kumasi Technical University, and also a member of the concerned members of Organized Labour. And to you, Dr. Palgrave Boachedankwa, government spokesperson on governance and security. And to you, our VIP in the homes and in the offices who watched this show. Grateful to you for joining us. My name is Samuel Kojo Brace. On behalf of the production team, I say thank you so much. God willing, tomorrow will be another day.